Hi, Garup. Wanted to ask you a few questions.
The New Testament views hell as the final abode of those condemned to eternal punishment at the last judgment. It is described as a place of fire and darkness, of weeping and gnashing of teeth, of destruction, of torment. And these are probably symbolic rather than literal, but, if anything, the reality will be far more terrible than the symbol. The New Testament...
You know, it's funny because what you described, a place of torment, that's how I felt when I was a Christian. And the idea of hell, I mean, that was tormenting to me. When I left Christianity, the torment went away.
Teaching about hell is meant to appall us and fill us with horror, persuading us that though heaven will be a better place than we could ever dream or imagine, so hell will be far worse than we can imagine.
Okay, what about heaven? What does the Bible say about heaven? I mean, does it tell you what heaven will be like? I mean, I think if you're God, and if the Bible was intending for people to accept the good, they would speak of the good. But I believe it is in fact a fear tactic, and that is why it focuses so much on the negative. It focuses on hell. It tells you what hell is like. It tries to strike fear in your heart, but it says nothing about the goodness of heaven. I mean, why not? Why not speak volumes about the goodness of heaven? Don't you think that would be more effective marketing?
And these are the issues of eternity that we must realistically face. Hell is not so much the absence of God as the consequences of his wrath and displeasure. God is like a consuming fire, and his righteous condemnation for defying him and clinging to the sins he loathes will be experienced in hell.
You know, that sounds like, I'm pretty sure any woman who has ever had a possessive boyfriend or husband will tell you this. Sounds very much like that. Sorry, but this is something that only a woman would know.
According to Scripture, hell is unending. You can find that in Jude 13 and Revelations 20:10. And there is no biblical warrant for speculation about a second chance after death. Neither is there any biblical warrant to believe in annihilation of the soul. Those in hell will realize...
Annihilation of the soul. Now, don't you think that's a bit of an overkill? I mean, to kill the body, I mean, it's pretty drastic, but, I mean, to obliterate you from all existence, I mean, and if your soul dies, I mean, and this is based on Christian belief, if I suspend disbelief for a moment and accept everything you say is true, if the soul dies, then what is there left to experience? Hell or fire? I mean...
is that they have sentenced themselves to be there because of their love for darkness rather than light, refusing to embrace their Creator as their Lord. They prefer their self-indulgence, the sin that they love, rather than self-defying, self-denying righteousness that comes from God.
Self-defying, self-denying. Just let those phrases just sink in for a second. I mean, think about what you're saying. If life is to deny the self, then what is the purpose of life? And I know you're going to probably say it's to serve God, but don't you think that's a bit circular? I mean, it's just, it doesn't make any sense. And I think if you were constructing a novel or a short story and you came up with that scenario, somehow I'm thinking that your editor would look at it and say, you know, this is not a very good plot. It just doesn't make sense.
They reject God. They reject the God that made them. General revelation confronts everyone with a certain evidence of God. And from this standpoint, hell has a basis in God's respect for human choice. All receive what they choose, either to be with God forever or to be with.
Respect for human choice implies that there is no consequence, there is no punishment at the end of your choice. You can't say to someone, well, I will give you a choice between one thing and another, but by the way, if you choose this other thing, then you will die and you will be tortured and then you will die. That is, it doesn't make any sense.
Out him forever. Those who are in hell will know not only that they are in hell because of their doings, but that they deserve hell, that it was truly their choice. They chose this destination, the grace of Christ that saves us from hell. Last judgment, Matthew 25.
And I have to say, I think you're really getting off on this. I mean, the lighting and the ominous looks, you know, I mean, it's just really, I mean, the whole thing spells fear to me. And I hope you don't think I'm mocking you or anything, but it's just kind of, you know. Okay.
5. Revelations 20, 11 through 15. A place of darkness, Jude 7, Jude 13. A place of weeping and gnashing of teeth, Matthew 8, Matthew 13, Matthew 22,